Virtual world, real profit. How to scale a business in the metaverse. Moderated by Alexandre, Hardouin, Metarchitect Studio.
Okay, so thank you very much all to be here. So now we're going to talk about actually how can we scale a business and how can we monetize it in the metaverse. So I guess that before talking about it, it will be pretty normal to actually say what is the metaverse for you. Everyone has a different explanation. So for you, what is the metaverse?
Yeah, right. Can I start? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first of all, in my opinion, right, the metaverse, the most basic explanation, the metaverse is basically a video game. And that's what people get wrong all the time. It actually does need to be playable. It can be obviously it can be just 2D, but it's much better if it's a 3D game. It's got to be open world. The point is not to attract gamers, obviously. At least that's in my opinion. We're supposed to have a whole different new group of people that is actually going to enjoy and, well, monetize the metaverse. So, in simple words, it's a video game. It needs to be playable, and, well, the economy part comes later, right?
Okay, it's very interesting. And also, do you think that there is only one kind of a metaverse? Because I know that there is some different metaverse, like Sandbox and Decentraland. What is your opinion regarding that, regarding the different metaverse that exist? Do you think that there are going to be only one that's going to survive, or what do you think about the different metaverse that existed now? Yeah, sure.
In my opinion, there will be a lot of metaverses, but it's going to also happen the interoperability. So everything will be connected, and the friction between going from one metaverse to another is going to be less, and yeah, people will be enjoying many of metaverses. In my opinion, also, let's say we are building one in sports world, and yeah, everybody will be focusing in that area of expertise. Maybe there will be one that will combine everything. We'll see, what future brings.
Yeah, my answer to that is depends on. Hello. Sorry. You got to turn on the mic sometimes. No, my answer to that is it depends on who you ask. I've seen people argue that there's actually only one metaverse, right? But the counter argument is obviously that there's multiple metaverses or metaversi, whatever the plural form of that is. My opinion is that it's multiple metaverses, because I view the metaverse as just a platform, right? So you talked about you're building a metaverse for gaming, you're building a metaverse for in our instance it's virtual commerce. At the end of the day, I think as this thing develops, it's figuring out how to tie all these metaverse platforms together so that because when I look at technology, it's what's the end user? How are they going to use it and how they're going to interact with it? Because you don't have a business if you can't get the end user to actually use it. So that's a huge puzzle that needs to get figured out.
Hey, so hi everyone. Belgrade's been awesome so far. Looking forward to the rest of the week. But to me, the metaverse is more of an idea. So when I think about the metaverse, I don't just think about a place or a platform, but I think about the idea that people and technology are converging in a way that will allow us to interact not just on our 2D screens, but also in a 3D environment. And beyond just being able to interact through a new medium, I also think that the metaverse, in my opinion, should incorporate some form of Web3 technology with it as well. Because I do believe that the metaverse and important aspects of the metaverse are digital assets. And the only way for us till today to actually have ownership of digital assets is through NFTs, as well as cryptocurrency being a mediums of exchange between users. I think the metaverse as a concept is still developing, although we've seen, I think, in the last 2 years it accelerate faster than maybe we expected. That could be because of the conditions of the world, but also the right time for the technology to actually be useful. As was mentioned, if it's not useful for the users, it's not good. And whilst the idea of the metaverse has been around since before the internet, it only seems like the moment for that fruit to be picked is in the coming years or in the last 2 years. So for me, the metaverse is this idea that like we today are having this experience streamed through a video camera and onto a 2D social media such as Facebook and all the social media we know it in our day-to-day lives. I do believe that these kind of experiences like we're having right now will also be experienced by viewers in a 3D environment. And I do just imagine comment sections and discussions happening in more meaningful or more interesting ways. So that's what I believe the idea of a metaverse is, or the metaverse.
It is very interesting. And also, one thing that I would like to know is, like, as you said, the metaverse is something that is actually pretty large. Like, what kind of industries do you think are going to be impacted by that? Are there, like, specific industries that are going to be on the metaverse for sure? Or is it something that's going to be actually available for every companies, every industries? What is your stake in that?
Well, seriously, the only thing that's stopping people is their creativity, right? The only limit is your creativity and how much you can think outside the box. And the first thing I can mention is the music industry, right? There's already concerts being held inside the metaverse where you buy tickets through NFTs, you attend the concert, and someone actually owns that land. That is an NFT land, right? Someone owns it, and someone rents it out to the artist that is performing the concert. So there's just one of the use cases I can think about. It's already been done, right? Inside the sandbox, Snoop Dogg held a concert, and that's already happened, and it's already happening everywhere. So that's really the main thing, as I said, is the creativity and how much people can think outside the box, and it can be really done for any number of industries, not just music, obviously. I mean, as I said, the ticketing industry as well. It's going to be huge inside of the metaverse, because how else are you going to sell tickets except with NFTs, right? The wearable industry, right? The wearable industry is going to be huge. You can have physical products and at the same time have virtual products, which are NFTs. So that's also one of the ways that you can do it, and one of the ways that people are already doing it. So it's not just the avatar, but it's what the avatar wears. It's the jeans that he wears that can be also a physical product. And as I said, that is something that people already do, right? Not to give shout outs to specific companies since I'm not paid for that, but yeah, it already exists. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think the better question to ask is which industry isn't going to be impacted by the metaverse in some way, right? Because I think if you dig deeply enough, you'll probably find use cases, oftentimes multiple use cases for any industry, right? It's a question of like, what's the size of the metaverse for that industry, and what exactly is the impact that like would happen if that industry chose to go into like the metaverse, right? So I think it's more, you brought up the idea of like creativity earlier. It's like, I think that's a beautiful part about the metaverse and Web3, because it's still so new, like it's very nebulous to still a lot of people, which means there's tons of room to get creative on how to solve these problems that a lot of these industries have, and really kind of live that ethos of like what Web3 and the metaverse could be. So for me, I'm like, if you look at any industry, you can probably find a use case for it. So I think that's a better question to ask.
I'm really excited for the iGaming industry. I've been waiting for the iGaming industry to take notice of the metaverse spaces. We know that in Decentraland, there's players from outside the gaming industry that are making millions every month. These are people who never built any iGaming products before. These are people who had no idea how to build in the iGaming industry, how to market through affiliate marketing. These are people who we would look at as noobs if we came from the iGaming industry. But they're dominating Decentraland, and I'm just expecting more people from the iGaming sector to take advantage of this opportunity whilst the market has not arrived. It's still an early adopter market, so the users that you have on these platforms are people who are open to new technology, open to a bit of risk, and that's just the character traits of people who enter markets early. Our company, Metaverse Architects, we've been running for nearly 2 years now. We've been invested by a publicly traded company. We've worked for Fortune 500 companies building the Metaverse Fashion Week, where we've sold wearables. We've worked for the Metaverse Festival, which brings in over 100,000 users over a weekend. And we've also worked with some iGaming providers, and we've brought their slot machines into the Metaverse. So I'm just excited to meet with more people from the iGaming industry, to help them figure out how this is going to work for them, to help them figure out how their business model can be replicated, but also how their business model can be innovated on top of, and how we can actually change their business model to not only be possibly, not possibly, but to be profitable, but to also keep users engaged and to keep users inside of your ecosystem. And you can do that with digital assets, because that's one way of rewarding users that we've never had before. When I go online to these metaverse platforms, one thing that I picked up from that is a love for fashion. I never really used to care about fashion, but when I became a bit of a fan, more like an NFT maniac, I started buying up, different NFTs for their brand. And the clothes I'm wearing right now are actually branded by an NFT project. So even what I'm wearing in real life, I'm getting it out of the metaverse, and you're seeing it physically on me. This is a Web3 native brand, and it's here with us in real life. So I do see the crossover both from the real world into the virtual world, but also, and just as importantly, the virtual world crossing over into the real world. And I do come from the Gen Z generation, and this is something that, nobody had to teach me how to do it, nobody had to tell me how to think. This is something that I just grew up with. This is something that, I learned how to do as a child, which is meet people online and play video games and compete in online games for skills and for competitions. And I can tell you that it's a very interesting world out there. Even just a small anecdote, but our lawyer's son came to our office just so that he could learn about the metaverse too. And during those conversations, we found out that our lawyer's 11-year-old son was actually making money through things like Roblox. So it's only a matter of time till the people who come after Gen Zs grow up as well, and the Gen Zs get older and their spending power increases. So yes, maybe the metaverse market has not reached mass adoption, and everybody outside of this corner is ignoring the opportunity at hand. But we do know that over time, this corner of the room is going to expand. And I believe that as time goes on, the opportunity to get to actually be a market leader would have disappeared. If you're an incumbent, that's fine, because you probably have enough funds to compete and market anyway. But if today you are not a market leader, this is one way of creating a product offering that nobody else has even tried. In the past year, Metaverse Architects, my company that I'm the co-founder of, we've done a number of firsts. We've built the tallest tower in Decentraland. We've built the first ATMs in Decentraland. And we want to continue doing more of these firsts. And there's a lot of them still out there. So there's still some low-hanging fruit. But as time goes on and it gets safer for you to take that jump, less of that low-hanging fruit is going to be available to you.
If I may, interesting thing is what we are all saying is there is a lot about money and attracting people through some rewards. I believe at the end of the day, it's not going to be like that because it's not sustainable in the long run. And for the mass adoption, at the end of the day, I believe that that's going to be like education. It's going to be like an experience. So just give you one example that I was just thinking, what's not possible to do in Metaverse. And I was thinking, okay, how can you mine in Metaverse, like gold mining or something like that? Okay, you cannot. But with VR sets and everything surrounding that, maybe later on you will be able to experience how it is to mine a gold. What do you feel? What senses are, is there something that is not going to be possible over there? But in my opinion, it's not going to be about money. It's not going to be about rewards. It's going to be about education. It's going to be about some experiences. This is how I see it in the long run.
It's true. I think for many people, money isn't the thing that brings them into it for the first place. I personally got into the metaverse because I spotted an opportunity. At the end of the day, we're on a panel about how to build a business in the metaverse. And the opportunity that I saw was that lots of companies and brands and businesses that want to get inside the metaverse don't understand it. So that was the business model that I created. I bridged that gap for these brands. But yes, I 100% agree with you that if you want the fans of the brands to actually have a meaningful experience, it needs to be fun, it needs to be engaging, and it needs to be interesting. And that's why today we are only in the early adopter part of the market, because the technology has not arrived to a point where mass adoption is possible. Although I do feel like we're on the verge of it, especially with companies like Improbable and the other side, Metaverse, that is allowing mass multiplayer experiences to actually take place. One of the main reasons people, Gen Zs go online and play video games is for multiplayer experiences. Multiplayer experiences like Fortnite, where you can have 50 people playing 25 versus 25, or 3 people versus an entire team. And that's one of the missing pieces that has not yet arrived inside the metaverse. So most of the games we're building are single player. And single player games are popular with people 30 years plus, because that's what they're used to when they were kids. So I do agree that things need to be fun. It's not just about the money. But of course, if you want to create a sustainable business, you need to have a business model.
I agree with you 100%. We are so early in the space that it's crazy, and if we are play it right, also money will come, definitely. And now we can also talk about some monetization streams that can come in the metaverse.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be like my next question. It's that then once you are in the metaverse, like right now, you know that there is already some really huge brands that are in the metaverse, such as Nike, such as Adidas, or such a lot of it. How do they do it to monetize it? How do they do it like to make money? Even though if you say that like the first thing should not be the money, eventually it's still companies, and eventually at the end of the day, they still want to make money out of it. So how could they make money out of the metaverse? And if it's not only about the money, then why would they actually get into the metaverse from a very concrete point of view?
It's very good marketing, first of all. I think it was Nike that first went into the metaverse, but it wasn't really metaverse because they went into Roblox, right? Roblox, it's a social game, right? But it's not really a metaverse; doesn't have the economy in it. But Nike went in, and that was kind of the first stepping stone. After that, Gucci went into the metaverse. Coca-Cola went into the metaverse. Interesting fact: Coca-Cola actually, the NFTs that they sold, I think it's Coca-Cola. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they actually gave away all their proceeds to charity. Not sure which one, but. Yeah, that's one of the things why they would do it. It is huge marketing, especially in the bull market. So one thing companies need to understand, especially big companies that want to get into the metaverse, is it is different to market during the bull. It is different to market during the bear market. Totally two different things. In the bull market, everything sells. You can sell a freaking rock to someone and, it's going to sell for thousands of dollars. But in the bear market, it works a little bit differently. The bear market, you need to build, right? And the exposure also works differently. I'm on YouTube, for example, and what I can tell you is during the bear market, I have lost over 90% of my audience, and that is not because my videos changed. That is not because my click-through rate changed. No, my impressions changed. So the impressions meaning that people have left during the bear market. And so, yeah, I think that that's one of the most important things, right, that people need to realize about the metaverse. I mean, big companies that want to get in and want to get like monetization going. Now, as far as how to monetize, there's so many ways. Again, it's all about creativity. There's infinite ways you can monetize something inside of the metaverse. There's so many also job opportunities people are going to have that they can't even fathom right now. Like you can be a guide inside of a puzzle, inside of a metaverse minigame where you're going to earn a monthly income for showing people, you need to go to the left and not to the right. Like that's going to be one of the jobs, trust me. From a gamer point of view, that's going to be needed. So yeah, just the creativity, man. There's so much potential. And as he said, super early, man. Got to say it, super early. We're going to make it, To the moon.
We all going to make it, yeah.
Yeah, if we keep working on the tech, we'll definitely get there eventually. I think like opportunities for companies today, marketing definitely one of them. One thing that I've observed is companies that have global audiences, but who cannot actually access their global audience. This could be because the product you are selling is not regulated in the country where you have an audience, but you are actually still able to engage that audience with digital assets instead of a physical product. Having had e-commerce companies in the past, I know the pains of physical logistics. So being able to give merchandise out like digitally is a very interesting stream of marketing. On the other side of things, one thing I noticed with our users is that it's harder to get people inside your metaverse platform than it is to get them to visit your website. But when you look at the number of people that are converting, the conversion rates are actually higher in these 3D environments. And whether that's because of the novelty or because of the proven interest of that person actually waiting till it loads, I'm not sure. But I found that to be an interesting concept. Are the conversions better? And if the loading times get better, will those conversions remain just as high? So these are questions that I still have, and I think that as analytics get better, as the amount of data available to us becomes better, we're going to be able to make more kind of these assumptions that we're used to in Web 2, that we've already kind of experienced in e-commerce and engaging audiences.
Yeah, to kind of pick up where you left off, I think I was kind of doing some research, and some of the interesting statistics around like e-commerce and just shopping in general is, consumers are more likely to purchase from a company that has some sort of AR or VR component to their business, right? And I think it's either 61 or 71% was the number, which was like for me really surprising, because like. And then I think the other aspect of monetization, right? It's like you've got the marketing piece, you've got engagement, but it's also providing like this immersive experience, for the brand or whatever it is, like the brand that's trying to sell, whether it's banking, financial services, whatever it could be. And then there's like the kind of cascading or like the waterfall effect, like what's coming out on the other side. You're still selling. A lot of these companies are still selling physical products, right? So I think it's using the metaverse to sell physical products that people can actually still utilize in real life. Because the other thing is as well is like companies that are building metaverse platforms. I almost look at it as you can become technology partners for companies that either don't have the resources or the know-how to build in the metaverse. So like. Like my company, we're Metamall Group. We're building a virtual commerce marketplace platform in the metaverse, and one of the positionings that we have is if you're a retailer, brick and mortar, whatever it is, you might not have the know-how or the resources to enter into the metaverse. But if you're going to be successful, you need to be omni-channel. But now we just become your technology partner, where it's a turnkey solution, and you just work with us, and everyone wins.
If I may add, let's say, with one example, what we are doing, I also believe that we need to help and connect each other. So we, as a NFT project that was sold out in minutes and having like 4,000 people who are the holders, now we are coming out with gear. Okay, gear items, and those gear items can be branded. Okay, so why not? Why not connect brand from Web 2 space to Web 3 friction? It's not going to be huge. On the other hand, they can give benefits, utility to holders of the NFT, of the gear item. On the other hand, we can share secondary market revenue with them. So it's a win-win-win situation at the end of the day, also for the users, because they will have some additional benefits to it. So I believe also that this is our job to do as, let's say, early adopters. And guys, we have first mover advantage. And it's not just to put everything in our pocket, but also help others. At the end of the day, like we all said before, we are all going to win.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So yeah, to conclude, I would say that first, thank you very much for all of your input. That was really interesting. And yeah, I would encourage everyone to actually to get to know about the metaverse, to get to educate yourself about the metaverse. Because if there is one thing that is sure is that every industry is going to be impacted by that, it's like every company should at least try to see how they could benefit from the metaverse, because opportunities are huge. And after that, I would just say thank you everyone for being here. And yeah.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.